Hey guys, so I know a few of you have been asking about making a video about shrink plastic and shrink plastic charms, and I haven't been having too much luck with these shrink plastic. I don't know if there's more than likely it's probably I'm doing something wrong. But I'm still trying to get the hang of it, and a majority of them are coming out very inconsistent. So let me just go ahead and talk about, before I show you some of the charms that I made, about the two different brands that I have worked with so far. And the first one is the Shrinky Dinks Frosted Rough and Ready. So these shrink plastic sheets are already rough on one side. Now the thing is with these, I bought this at Michael's during their Black Friday sale, and I think this pack is a pack of 10 for a really good price. I think it was $5.99. So yeah, with whatever discount that was being offered at the time, it was really cheap. So this pack comes in 10, and they're 8 by 10 inches, and one side is already roughened up and the other side is clear, or not clear, but it is glossy. So the nice thing about Shrinky Dinks is the inside has all of these instructions, a little bit in terms of tips on how to color them. And they also have what I really like. Oh, maybe it's not. There was another sheet, but I think I left it in my room. There was another sheet that had kind of like a ruler that gave you a scale as to how much your Shrinky Dink plastic will shrink down to. So if you are drawing a picture that is like 4 inches, the estimated size will end up looking like something smaller, and they had that size scale. So I thought that was super nice that it made trying to come up with a plan on to how to draw things at a certain scale. So I had like certain measurements and to like estimate how big it will end up being. So that was very nice about the Shrinky Dinks. However, I'll show you in a moment once I show you the charms that I made out of Shrinky Dinks. So the other one I haven't used all that much. I've only used it once so far, but it is the Ranger brand shrink plastic, and this is the clear. And this pack I bought, it comes with 5 sheets, also it's slightly larger, so 8 inches by 10.5 inches. So yeah, you get 5 sheets in this pack. And it was, I want to say it was also like $5.99 or $6, and I bought this at Walmart. They didn't have it readily available at my local store, so I had to order it online. But yeah, so you're not getting as much comparatively to Shrinky Dinks, which I got at Michael's. And I've only ever used it once so far, hence why you see this one sheet here that's like cut out, and I'll show you how this ended up being. I like this a little bit better, but I don't know if I'm doing something wrong. So let me go ahead and show you the charms that I made. So these are the charms that I made. The first ones that I made using the Shrinky Dinks plastic was these two. And it did not turn out, well actually no, it wasn't just these two, it was actually all of these. So it's these 3 treat yourself cupcakes that I am referencing from Parks and Recreations, and if you have not watched that show, I highly recommend it because it is so funny. So I made 3 of these cupcakes, and the first one I'm having some problems with. Okay, so this alpaca that I made, I guess I had left it in too long, or maybe I took it out too early, I don't know, but I colored it with chalk pastels, and you could see here as I'm reflecting it off of the light that it is very wrinkled, and it also, I guess, melted. the way that Shrinky Dinks tells you to go about baking these in the toaster oven is to have the glossy side facing down and you want your image to face up. So I did that. This was like, yeah, one of my first charms that I made. So I did what it instructed, and I guess it melted onto the paper that I was using. Now the paper that I was using underneath the charm in the toaster oven was this baking sheet. So like, you know, the baking sheets that you use for like cookies and in your conventional oven and things like that. So I used that, but it melted onto it. And so now you can see right there that some of that, you know, it's kind of like it's ripped or it's melted onto there. So it's not glossy, it's wrinkled. Yeah, and it was a bit of a shame, but I didn't even like how it turned out. The thing is with shrink plastic, when you're like copying the image from what you're copying off of, it's then flipped over. So I drew it like this in my sketch pad, and then, but I wanted the glossy side over, and then when it's flipped over, it looks kind of weird. It doesn't look as symmetrical as what it was. It looks like its head is more tilted, so I didn't like that, and turned it out bad overall, so yeah. Okay, so this one, also, again, it did not flatten all the way. And however, I really like the finish off of this. It's super glossy. And another thing that I'm having a lot of problems with is, now this one is also really flat. But I was watching more shrink plastic videos or how-to videos on YouTube, and they said that right when it's out of the conventional or the toaster oven, what you would do is you would get another sheet of paper, flatten it, put it over it, and get like a heavy book or something like that, or put it between the pages of a heavy book so that it flattens it out even further. Now, I did not do the flattening with this charm, hence why it's really glossy. However, I did do it with these two charms right here. And as you can see, they're kind of grainy because it was still hot when it came out of the toaster oven. And when I put the paper over it, and I used the baking sheet paper, and I had put the paper over it, and I put a book on top of it, and then I kind of just like, you know, flattened it out. And then when I took it off, the book and the paper, it left the paper's imprint onto the charm itself. It's still glossy, but now it has kind of like a matte finish. So I guess I left the book on a little bit too long, the book and the paper on a little bit too long on the plastic. So now it has kind of like this matte finish. It's flat though. And the same with this one. I didn't leave it as long, the paper and the book on top of the shrink plastic. So it's a little bit more glossy. But this one, yeah, you can kind of see it right here. So, yeah, I mean, and I wasn't too crazy about how the coloring came out. So I colored these three with Sharpie and with color pencils. So, and I painted the back just to white acrylic. So maybe I was hoping that the colors might pop out a little bit more. But it did to a certain degree, but not very much. And that might be because of the finishing that the Shrinky Dinks Frosted Rough and Ready has, because their sheets already come pre-roughened or pre-scratched. So that way colors such as with color pencils would adhere better to the plastic. So it's okay. But I'm not 100% like satisfied with how it turned out overall. So yeah, there was a lot of inconsistencies with the first couple of charms. This too was also the first one, and I think a first batch that I made along with these, and this was probably the one that turned out the best, which I'm really super happy with. It's glossy, so I guess I didn't press the book and the paper on too long, so it's nice and glossy and it's flat. And with this, the only part that I pre-colored was the seaweed, the nori part of this cat onigiri. And so I colored that part with color pencil, and then this was still clear after baking. So after baking, then I painted it with acrylic paint, and it looks really cute. Yeah, I really like that, how that turned out. So, the next batch that I had made, oh wait, forgot about this. This one was also one of the first ones that I made. It also turned out pretty well as well. It flattened well, but it's not as glossy that I feel as the onigiri. And I wasn't too happy with how the coloring ended up as well. So yeah, not completely satisfied. I mean, it looks okay, but not completely satisfied. I thought the balloon could have been a lot more ornate, which is why I made some more ornate ones. So, but we'll get to that in a minute. So the next batch that I had made was these monkeys that they didn't turn out that great. So I changed up my coloring plan. Rather than pre-coloring it with color pencils, these were all painted after the fact, after being baked. They were colored, or they were painted with acrylic paint. So again, I was still having that problem. Some of them, granted though, they're not as wrinkled as the one cupcake one that was like super wrinkled. These I flattened a little bit, but yet again, they're still kind of curled. It may not, oh, there you go. So you can see as I reflect it that it's kind of curled up towards these edges right here. Same with this as well. This one flattened a little bit better, and it ended up being a little bit better, but I was not totally happy with the paint that I had mixed. I was trying to go with lavender, but it ended up being more lavender gray, so I didn't, I might have to like buy a bottle of pre-mixed lavender acrylic paint, because I was trying to mix it on my own, and it just ended up being more gray than anything else. And same with this. This one actually turned out nice, but it's too faint. I gave it like one coating of the brown, so it's kind of not all that solid. And the sun's coming out right now, so it's brighter. Okay, so yeah, still some inconsistencies with all of that. These I was planning on maybe giving them away as freebies with anybody who's purchased or who's going to purchase the needle felt monkeys that I had made, and I may or may not have posted that. I think I did in my lesson 5 for needle felting. So I had shown an example of one of the monkeys that I made, and I haven't posted it on Etsy just yet, but once I do, I'm going to add these pins. So yeah, they're just acrylic charms, and I put a pin on it so it can be a brooch or a pin on a backpack or anything like that. So these will probably just be extras that I'll just be giving out randomly for anyone who purchases the needle felt monkey. And these monkeys, I had, rather than painting it with acrylic paint, I pre-colored them with the color pencil, and then afterwards, after baking them, I painted on with white acrylics, so hoping that the color kind of becomes more bright after painting it with white. It kind of did it, but not really. I don't know. I'm again not too satisfied. They're still cute, but yeah, so it's just not satisfied. It looked better before I baked it, and then I baked it, and then it didn't turn out that great. So oh well, okay. Grumble, grumble, yeah. And here is a Monkey King. If anybody's watched Journey to the West or Sayuki, this is the Monkey King, or like a little chibi version of the Monkey King. And again, not completely satisfied, because the sketch that I had made, yeah, it was a lot more spherical and even shaped. When I was baking it and it was shrinking down, one side became more shrunken than the other, so you kind of see his head's tilted a little bit, and his head's sinking in on this side a little bit rather than nice and circular on this side. So they didn't shrink at the same rate. So yeah, I mean, it's flattened out, and I did press a sheet of paper and a book on top of it to help flatten it out, and it is really glossy, but yeah, it didn't shrink down at an even rate, so it looks kind of weird. These two came out really well. I painted these with acrylic paint. And I was trying to go with an ombre effect right here, and I think it more or less was pretty successful. And yeah, I liked how these turned out. So I might put these up on my Etsy. Yeah, I might put them up on my Etsy as is, rather than the monkeys, because the monkeys, yeah, they didn't turn out so well, so I'm giving them away as freebies. Here is an wagashi, kind of like a Japanese pastry bunny that turned out okay. I'm not too sure, I'm not too comfortable with giving this because I think while it was baking, or probably when I took it out, a little bit of dust came on, so it created a little dent over at that eye, so you can kind of see it right there. So I'm not too comfortable with that. And also, yeah, after my attempt at doing what Shrinky Dinks had recommended and putting the image facing up while the shiny part down while you're baking, I did not do that because, yeah, the cover wasn't shiny anymore. So I started doing the reverse, and I had put the plastic in the oven with the image facing down and with the glossy side facing up. And when that happens, though, this kind of thing happened, and here's the piece of paper. Some of the Sharpie ink had transferred over onto the sheet. So when that happens, you're kind of afraid that, like, while the plastic is shrinking down and it lays flat after a few seconds of baking, I'm kind of afraid that some of the ink would transfer over back onto the plastic while it's shrunken down. So I did see that happen a few times. For one instance, it happened with this. And you don't see it because I kind of hid it with more acrylic paint for the blush marks. But you can kind of see it here. I don't even know what that is. It's kind of green. It might be from the, I colored this with the color pencil, so it might be like transference from that. I don't know what happened there. So yeah, it's been frustrating over more than anything else. So here's the last two charms, and at first I thought that I was going to really like how this one turned out. This one I colored almost entirely with color pencil, and the dark purple is from gel pens, and also the ribbons, the gold ribbons, are also with gel pens as well. And I thought I was going to really like how this was going to turn out. It looked really cute before I baked it, and then I baked it, and then it didn't turn out so good anymore because what ended up happening was some of the purple, when it melted down, it smeared when it was shrinking down. So you kind of see it. Yeah. So yeah, I was really bummed about that. The bottom part turned out really cute. And again, I painted the back with white acrylic. And oh, and I forgot to say, I sealed it all with Mod Podge glossy finish. So it's nice and glossy and it's smooth. So if you were to wear this or pin it somewhere, none of the paint will transfer over. So yeah, like the bottom part turned out really cute. But by comparison, I thought this was way cuter. So this, I had used the Ranger sheets, not the Shrinky Dinks. So this one was not touched up. It's totally like glossy finish on both sides. So what I did with that sheet of plastic was I had drawn with just purely black Sharpie. That's all I did. And so it was clear when I baked it. And once it came out, the black and clear was really pretty. But of course I was going to have the intention of painting it with acrylic paint anyway. And so this bottom part here, actually no, scratch that. The bottom part I did use Sharpie. So I used brown Sharpie and I just did a zigzag motion with each of the basket weaves for this pin, and it turned out really well. The color, all the color portions, so the mint green and the yellow and the pink, was all acrylic paint, and I purposely made it kind of messy, like out of, like, you know, coloring out of the lines, and I really like that effect that it had. So overall, I really think this pin is really pretty, but it did not bake nicely. And let me show you what happened here. So this one little corner did not flatten. It curled up, and I don't know if it's because I had baked this last. This was the very last piece that I baked, and the oven was still really warm because it was still turned on. I had taken out some of these other pieces out, and then I had put this in. Maybe the oven was too hot, because once I put it in, it shrunk down immediately, really fast, and to the point. And yeah, the one thing also that I've seen that nobody's mentioned, and I don't know if I'm doing it wrong or not from the videos that I've watched, is when you bake these in a toaster oven, a lot of fumes come out. Like, I see like some smoke, but it's not really smoke. Or maybe it is, because the paper, if I use the paper, like, you know, a couple of times in one session, then I start noticing a lot of fumes coming out. So I take the toaster oven outside in the backyard, because I have power outlets there, and I bake it out there, so none of the, and also it smells like plastic. It smells like plastic when you're baking them. So I don't want, I'm pretty sure these are non-toxic. I mean, they're for children, so, but still, I like, it smells not that great. Not horrible. I mean, it's comparative, like, to any kind of plastics that you would think, like burned rubber or anything like that. It's actually not that bad, but it does give off a smell. So I've been baking some of these, like the first few ones I've baked inside the house. But when I started noticing the smoke, or it wasn't like really dark smoke, but it was just more like fumes or anything like that was coming out of the toaster oven, I started baking outside in the backyard. So yeah, I don't know if it's because of the temperature change, because, you know, it's been really cold outside, and the oven itself is really warm. So I don't know if like this kind of like inconsistency with like how things are shrinking down is affecting that at all. But overall, I'm really happy with how the Ranger shrink plastic turned out. So I might just, I don't know, like, do a little bit more experimenting. But in all honesty, I'm pretty tired of all this shrink plastic. I'm just going to take a break. And, oh yeah, I haven't mentioned, but I'm also taking a break from needle felting as well. Not forever. I'm not like, you know, completely stopping needle felting. I'm just taking a break, and I'm thinking of going back to polymer clay and playing around with more polymer clay. I've drawn some designs. So I have some plans in the future for updating my Etsy shop. But yeah, so I hope you guys got something out of this. I'm still playing around with the shrink plastic, still not completely happy. Some of these pieces may end up coming out available on my Etsy, but they'll probably be at a discounted rate, because again, I'm not completely happy with how they turned out. They're okay, but they're not great. So more than likely, I'll just be giving some of these away out as freebies with anybody who's purchased something from my shop. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!